Hello everyone, it is March 18th, 2025, and we're going to go over the progress we've made for today and yesterday. I didn't do a summary video yesterday because the system I'm about to describe was still a work in progress. So basically, we have a scene here with all of our characters. So this is, I'm calling it the Forest Village. I actually, in the Unity project, I ended up calling this Cursed Village, and that's like the setting. The characters, the monster, and hopefully eventually environments and stuff, they'll probably all be in this umbrella of like a name or setting. Anyway, so these are all the characters here. Now for each of these characters, so for example, we're looking at Nora here. This is this source right here, this character, so all these files here point to her original file. So this file that we're looking at right now is just inheriting changes. So if I need to go back and make changes to her eyes or face or fix some weight painting or the mesh is broken in some way, I go back to her file, make those changes, and then when I come back here, this is where we're actually exporting. And the very cool part about what I've done here is I've made this script here. And what it does is it looks for the color of collections. So for a yellow collection, we're calling that like a export target. So for each yellow collection, it's going to make an export. So in this case, there's 5 yellow ones, so there's at least 5 exports. And then within that, when it finally looks at the yellow collection, it enables the green collections. Because I don't really need all of them. This one doesn't even need to be visible, but it's there when I inherit it. So I just have some control on what turns on, what doesn't. And then additionally, we have a blue folder, blue collection. And what that does is for each of the collections within the blue folder, it does an additional export with just that one enabled. So for example, we have our character here. So we'd export with this outfit, one version with this outfit, and another version with this outfit. Now, what's super nice is that it will take the names of these additional collections and add them onto it. So the actual exported version will be Nora Avatar Villager Clothing or Nora Avatar Villager Tunic. And so now I have these two versions and I know exactly where they're going to end up when I export them. They're going to look for those names, replace them, or overwrite those files. That's where it's going to save to. Additionally, we've also set up some logic both in Blender and Unity to take off these numerical additions at the end, these suffixes. So we have them right here. I see outfits 0.001. And a lot of these have these additional numbers on them. And unfortunately, that's just kind of an artifact of working in Blender. Basically, you can't have an object with the same name. So for example, each of these characters has an outfits collection, but since there's already a name, the name outfits, it starts iterating by adding numbers on the end. But now when I export, it strips those numbers out of it completely. And then everything is just named kind of as it should be, as you would expect. And there's no worry about these duplications. Additionally, when I run the script, it exports everything. If I don't want something to export, I can just disable the render icon here on the end. So if it's a yellow collection, but it's disabled in the render, it won't export. So I can get a little more granular, and I feel like I've given myself a lot of good options there. The naming stuff, the overriding the saves, all of that took quite a while to really work out. But now it's super nice because I have this one file where I can verify the look of my character, make sure they're all the same, and I'm kind of viewing the project as a whole, which I really like. I like that a lot. Okay, so once we export from Blender, I'm not going to do it now because it does take quite a while. It takes about 2 minutes per export if I have them all enabled. But we end up in Unity. And so you can see these are our Unity versions of the characters. And we have a different outfit for each of them. The mesh is the same for a few of them, but I've made sure to make a unique texture for all of them. And of course, this is interchangeable. We can add more outfits, more textures, yada, yada, yada. But it's mostly just testing out the workflow. Okay, so I've talked a lot about where of exporting them, but this is really the end result right here, this big old chunk of meshes. So we have one for each version of the character. So there's the two Daros, the tunic one and the clothing one. And then Gilly has just one variant, Julian. There's two Noras. And again, we could go back and like for the hair, for example, I could make additional hair outfits or hair variations. And then my hope is that, so if I have two outfits and two two types of hair, then I would get 4 versions of this character exported because it's going to fill out that possible space of combinations. And, you know, eventually that could also include the texture, the actual material, as you'll notice here. We have 2 different outfits here, but I could also, this blue and white one and this yellow and red one, those are the same mesh. So technically at any point I can go here and swap to my outfit material like this. Boom, boom. And there's a bunch of different pieces there, but you get the picture. Now, all super, super useful, but there's another set of utility here, which is awesome, which so I was very specific on how I named all my objects, and setting up that scripting to strip out the suffix is very important because, well, if we look at one character, so for example right here, they have a body, jacket, pants, shoes, and then we would expect any other character with the tunic to have the same layout: body, jacket, pants, shoes, etc. And so what this allows us to do is share animation data. If in Unity and most programs with animation, it's looking for a specific object with a specific name in a specific spot. So the animation starts at the top and then it goes down one, it looks for a child object named body, and it tries to animate the properties, the right properties on it. And so this is super cool because this little object here, the face, oh, sorry, that's the face tracking. This one right here, this is the animation logic. And what's super cool about it is that it's modular. So by putting it in here, having everything named the same, I can make changes to this particular object. You notice everything's grayed out. It's because of this thing called a prefab. And if I make changes to this one, it makes the same changes to all the other ones I have in all the other characters. And so this contains information on how to toggle the clothing. So we have one animation toggle, which is turning the clothing on and off, and then a blink controller, which gives just a random blinking expression. And so there's a little bit more I want to do to just make some like kind of generic expressions: happy, sad, angry, confused, that kind of thing. It's general expressions. And when I want to add it, because they all have the same shape keys on the same object with the same name, I can just add those animations here, and it's going to propagate to all the characters as long as it has this prefab in there. And of course, that everything's named properly. There's a little bit more I'd like to figure out right now. The materials are easy to set up. So when I bring in a character, there's still a bit of manual. I still have to tell it it's a humanoid character, and then I have to tell it to search for within my project for materials with the same name. Which isn't too bad, but I feel like it could be. I would want that to be automated eventually, but I can't spend too much time stuck in coding for now. So right now I'm working around that, but eventually I'd love to bridge that gap. And that's about it. So let me go ahead and hit play here, and you can kind of get a feel for all the different things I've been talking about. It's right here. Scooch this over, hit play. But these are the VRChat versions we're looking at right now, are very close to finished. We're probably be done with the VRChat versions of all these characters tomorrow. And I'm reaching out to a friend of mine, member of the chat here, who is very experienced creating VTubers from the VRChat versions. And we're going to discuss hopefully making some sort of automated process for that, because that would be nice. That'd be super nice. Yeah, there we go. Bah, 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 bah. So you can see, as soon as it loads, they're all animated. Or rigged, at least, so they'll move and pose themselves. One thing I've set up that's a little bit hard to see because it's supposed to be invisible is that when the clothing is on, the interior body is literally disabled. So there is no way for the body to poke through. On previous versions, you may have noticed like toes and stuff poking through on the shoes. That no longer happens. Or I should say, I was planning on using this method to hide the body. But if we click on the character, right here, we go to expressions, disable clothing, we can disable the clothing. And then of course we also have, I don't have my face tracking hook, or you can't really hook it up to the Unity editor right now, but face tracking is also like iPhone or Quest Pro or any sort of facial tracking you want to use with VR, that's ready to go on all these characters. Oops. Yeah. I want to show off a little more, but I think we'll call it there. I have a lot more I'll show up tomorrow. I'm going to get the VRChat versions packaged up today, or sorry, tomorrow, and get a good head start on making the automation for the VTuber creation tomorrow. That will be a little difficult. The biggest hurdle is that the version of Unity I'm working in right now is for VRChat, and it is not the same version of Unity that the VTuber creating add-ons use, which is silly. So anyway, I'm going to call it here. Thank you for checking this out, and I'll see you in the next video.